Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look at the DRF race of the day for Saturday, October the 19th. It's race number 9 at Keeneland, and it's the Grade 2 Raven Run. These are 3-year-old fillies going 7/8 of a mile. Before we take a look at the field, remember the DRFTV viewers have a great opportunity. 10% off all DRF past performances for DRFTV viewers. Shop now by accessing the QR code on your screen, and please use the coupon code DRFTV10. Here's the field for the Grade 2 Raven Run, and you can access free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. We've got 10 in here, but the horse they're all going to have to beat is the number 5, Emery. For Brad Cox and Tyler Gaffalione, she had a 3-race win streak snapped last time out, but it took a good one to beat her.
I guess she ran about as well as you could have expected in the test last time, Dan. She was just only second best to Ways and Means, who I guess is one of the better filly mare sprinters. She's only a 3-year-old, but one of the better filly mare sprinters in the country right now. She's really good. I don't know if I'm trying to decide, Dan, if we're overdoing it, making her such a short line, a short price on the morning line, because there are some other really good horses in here.
There really are, especially the perennially underrated My Main Squeeze, who just seems to show up each and every time and rarely gets the respect she deserves at the windows. Let's see where they are on our Timeform US pace projector. Timeform US projects the placement of our field after the opening quarter mile, and Twirling Queen, who will run in this race, she will not run on the turf in New York. She should show some early speed. Emery is a very tactical type that figures to be close to the pace, and I guess the number 8, Uno Lay, can be close as well.
We'll see how the pace plays out. I didn't necessarily think it was going to be a blazing pace up front there, but maybe it will get competitive. Timeform US obviously thinks it's going to be at least competitive up there, if not fast. The good news for Emery is she's just so handy, Dan. If they're going too fast, she's going to take a seat in here, and it's not going to bother her one bit.
If you believe the pace will be fast, you might want to consider the number 6, VV's Dream, who has the fastest Timeform US late pace rating and might get a completely different scenario than last time out, where she tried to rally from off a slow pace in her first race off of a lengthy layoff. Let's take a look at the number 1, Fibber, who won the Audubon Oaks at Ellis Park over this distance 2 starts back. They claimed this horse for a lot of money, buku bucks, $100,000 back in May. They've been paid off with that stakes win, and she ran fine last time out, went second in the Dogwood. The problem is she was no match for My Main Squeeze.
Yeah, I like the way that she's improved since the claim for this trainer. Ran really well first time off the layoff, ran really well at Ellis to win the stakes race. And you know what? She ran fine last time, but as you seem to be alluding to, My Main Squeeze ran way better than she did, and there was still a good performance. She's going to have to up her game a little bit here, but I do like her running style for this race from the route. I think she's going to get a good trip in this race.
The number 2 is Mucha, and I believe this horse has a ton of upside potential. She's only been to the post 6 times. Now, while she was beaten by Hall and Ice 2 starts back at Gulfstream, she bested that horse 3 back, and she bounced out of her race 2 back with this good performance in the Prioress at Saratoga. A grade 3 for 3-year-old fillies going 3/4 of a mile. She's going to rally and make this relatively close, and was flattered when the runner-up came back to win a first-level allowance at Keeneland with a 96 buyer.
Yeah, she's pretty game in this race. I mean, there's never a point where it looks like she's going to run these 2 horses down in front of her, but she was game for the final quarter mile of this race, and she is starting to surge at the end. I thought this was a good performance, a nice bounce-back performance. I don't really know what happened 2 starts back when Hall and Ice just easily handled her. But her race prior to that was really good. Her Prioress was really good. And as you say, she's still got upside.
The number 3, My Main Squeeze, has really graduated from the New York bred ranks and has become a true graded stakes sprinter. She won the 8 Bells on Kentucky Derby weekend, going 7/8 of a mile on a wet track. She ran 3rd in the test, finishing behind Emery, again over a wet track. A grade 1 at Saratoga. They found the spot for her last time. It was the grade 3 Dogwood, and she just rolled by them in the stretch. She's sharp, she's hardy. She may lack the upside of an Emery after 12 starts, but you can count on her running.
Yeah, you can. As you mentioned in the opening that she's underrated, and that's exactly right. She doesn't get the respect that she deserves. I loved her last race. I thought she ran super in there. A really aggressive early move in there through traffic by Saez, ran right by Fibber around the turn to get the jump on that horse, and then was just never giving them a chance to run her down at the end. I thought that was maybe the best performance of her career, and it came in start number 12.
Jose D'Angelo is a pretty good trainer, and he's showing a lot of confidence in running the 4 Twirling Queen in this race. After all, Twirling Queen has made her money on synthetic and on turf. She brings a 4 race win streak into this heat. Here's her most recent start on the main track. Now, this is a 5/8 of a mile to Peter race at Gulfstream, the Melody of Colors. She got right up close to the pace. She hangs on her left lead all the way down to the wire, but she wins very easily. The problem is these 5/8 on synthetic, the 5.5 on turf, it's a completely different ball game when you're going 7 on dirt against top competition.
It's a really big question. She's clearly a talented horse, and
Oh,
she
yeah.
has won on dirt before, so she has that going for her. And listen, she's 4 for 4 since the trainer changed to D'Angelo as a 3-year-old. She's really improved, but she's done it on different surfaces, going shorter distances. I don't know how much you can really expect her to up her game again. I do think she has to up her game again if she's going to win this race, and I just don't know how much you can really expect that from her. I guess you'll get a good price on her if you believe.
The 5 is Emery, and she's a lightly raced filly trained by Brad Cox. Now, the last time Emery raced 7/8 on a fast track, she dominated the field in the Leslie's Lady at odds on. I just loved how the way she just tracked 4 wide at the back, made a big outside bid, and kept on going. She then won the victory ride in New York. And last time out in the test, she did her best. She pressed Ways and Means in the early part of this race. Ways and Means is going to be the favorite in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint in a couple of weeks. It looks like Emery's in trouble here and might finish 3rd or even 4th. But once she got hit with the right hand there, she resurgent. She gets away from this horse and is very game, trying hard for 2nd.
Yeah, she's only second best, but she is. You're right, that she's really good. That's my main squeeze. Who was trying to get by her for 2nd there. She just was never going to let her do it. But just no match for Ways and Means there. Her prior record, I guess, kind of just speaks for itself, especially sprinting. They're all good performances. As you mentioned, the 7 furlong race at Churchill, really, really strong. Her race off the layoff here at Keeneland, I thought was one that really pointed her out, that she did not get a great trip in that race, and she won for fun.
Ways and Means, of course, came back out of that race to win the Gallant Bloom in New York with a 101 buyer, but Emery hasn't raced in 2 months, and there's a noticeable gap in the work tab. We'll see how sharp she is for this effort. Vivi's Dream might be one of the better closers in this race, as we discussed in the Pace Projector segment. She returned off a lengthy layoff last time out in a 2nd-level allowance, and she was beaten by Minx Palace, but she could certainly improve with that race under her girth, and I think getting out from 6 to 7 is what she wants.
I think an elongated sprint will really help her. I'm willing to, be a little lenient anyway, Dan, off the long layoff last time. It wasn't a great performance, but maybe it was just a good place to start. And more than anything else, isn't there just an argument to be made that she's a one-turn horse? She doesn't really want to go longer distances. I think she made that clear, I thought, in the Fairgrounds Oaks 2 starts back. She had a good trip in that race, just didn't really finish that hard over the longer distance. I think she's better going shorter.
Your point is very well taken, because the prior one-turn race to her last race came all the way back as a 2-year-old in the Pocahontas. It was a 1-turn mile, and I thought by far it was her most impressive performance. She did get a good trip that day, but she won that race as handily as possible with a very good number for a 2-year-old filly. She's a sleeper for connections that are having an unbelievable year. Minx Palace is coming off of a win at Churchill going 6 furlongs. I thought she ran well that day, Mike, but in the Audubon Oaks 2 starts back against Fibber, I know she got involved in a little bit of a pace dispute, but I wanted her to run better.
Yeah, I didn't like that performance either. It was really the only time they've tested her so far too, Dan, and she just wasn't up for it at that time. I respect the fact that they regrouped, they found a better spot for her. She came through for them with a new buyer top, and that was a good performance. It's not like the pace was blazing in front of her. She came and closed it down. It was a good performance. The Lasix has to come right back off. That's a big question for her, and she's obviously got to improve to beat this field.
The number 8, Uno Lee, is going to be a big price in here, coming off of a maiden win over Sloppy Going. But that race was her first start off about a 10-month layoff. She did a lot of the dirty work on the lead that day, and she looked very strong winning. Now, what was she beating? I don't know. The Lasix is going to come off. She's going to have to improve by leaps and bounds to beat this field, but it's nice to see low-profile connections with a fairly promising horse that they can do something with down the road.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see how this shakes out for her if they run her here. It obviously looks like it's a pretty tall order against this field. Dan came back off the layup with a fine performance, but that's not going to get it done here.
Ripperton, the number 9, was a winner 2 starts back at Horseshoe Indianapolis going a mile, and she showed the ability to rate from off the pace that day. She was a little bit more aggressively ridden last time out at Churchill, although I wasn't sure the pace was that fast, and maybe that was the reason she was closer to the lead. She made the lead in the stretch. She was no match for Minx Palace. She really earned a big buyer speed figure. I'm starting to question that number a little bit of overall for that race because it seems like everybody jumped up. But Ripperton, if you believe the fig, she's not too far off of these.
Yeah, it's true. She's just going to have to prove that it is a legit figure, though. I guess, Dan, I really respect this trainer. He does a really good job. So
Oh, yeah.
if he thinks she's in really good form right now and wants to try this, I won't argue. When I went back and watched that most recent race, though, at Churchill, where she split Minx Palace and VV's Dream, I'd kind of rather have both of those 2 horses ahead of this one.
I think Hall and Ice is a little bit of a sleeper for Saffie Joseph. The last time this filly ran 1 turn, that was that race 2 starts back at Gulfstream. The Azalea, I thought that track was favoring speed. She was tracking on the outside, and she blew them away to the tune of a 91 buyer. They ran her 2 turns against her stablemate in the Charlestown Oaks last time out, and she just didn't run very well. But I think she didn't have to like the bull ring.
It's easy enough to want to give her the excuse for the Charlestown Oaks for sure, Dan. I mean, to me, the most surprising thing, and I don't think she ran well at all in there, but the surprising thing to me is she was favored over My Main Squeeze in that race. That's ridiculous. But she did run really, really well 2 starts back. I don't know if that's her, but what if that is her now, Dan, and she could run a race like that in here? Can't she contend with these horses?
I think she certainly can if she can get the right trip from post position 10. Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Breeders' Cup right around the corner. Let's take a look at our top picks for the Raven Run, a grade 2 at Keeneland, our race of the day for Saturday. Emery's going to be a short price. I just think if she shows up with what we saw from her in New York and Kentucky earlier this year, she's going to be real tough.
I ultimately looked at it the same exact way, Dan. To me, the only other horse that I would take against her is the 3 My Main Squeeze. And listen, there's nothing groundbreaking there. They're going to be the 2 favorites in this race, but I think they're both really good.
Maybe my idea would be to try to split the favorites with the 2 Mucha, who did come with a late run last time out in the Prioress. I still think there's a little bit of upside here. Irad taking them out might hurt her price as well. 5, 3, 6, 10 for Mike. 5, 2, 3, 4 for me. It's the grade 2 Raven Run, one of 2 graded stakes races for 3-year-old sprinters at Keeneland on Saturday. Best of luck. Hey, let me give you a hot tip. If you liked the content that you've seen before, click on the like and subscribe button right here. And of course, for more DRF videos like Race of the Days, stakes previews, click on the videos right here.